Hey guys, it's me. And today, we're going to look at some terrifying true stories of people who met their In 1996, two strangers met in an airport. They were sitting next to each other on a flight from Sydney to Melbourne. After they took off, the man turned to the woman and said, "I have to tell you something weird. You look exactly like my wife." He was so shocked because he had only seen his wife's face in a photo once before. She slammed on the brakes and turned the car around. She didn't want to hit him. As she drove past him, she realized that he was her exact doppelganger. She stopped the car and turned to look at him. He was standing in the middle of the road, staring at her. She rolled down her window and asked him if he was okay. He didn't respond. He just kept staring at her. She felt a sudden urge to get out of her car and walk towards him. She knew she should call the police, but she couldn't move. She was frozen in place. She wanted to reach out and touch him, but she was afraid. What if he was dangerous? What if he attacked her? But curiosity got the better of her, and she got out of the car and started walking towards him. He didn't even know what she looked like, but when he saw this woman, he was sure that she was his wife. He was so shocked that he couldn't move or speak. He just stood there staring at her. The woman looked at him for a few seconds and then walked away. The man tried to call out to her, but no sound came out of his mouth. He was so scared and confused. He didn't know what to do. He felt like he was having a mental breakdown. He wanted to follow the woman, but he was afraid that she would think he was crazy, so he just stood there watching her walk away. The woman replied, "That's weird. You look exactly like my husband." The man then asked the woman if she had been married for 3 years, and if her husband worked in an investment bank in Melbourne. "With that, I'll see you next time." The woman responded that she was married for 3 years, and her husband worked in an investment bank in Melbourne. They were shocked. Then the woman said, "Wait, what's your wife's name?" "Helen," he replied. "Helen," she repeated. "That's my name." The woman then turned pale and screamed. All she could say was, "Oh my God!" The pilot heard the commotion and asked if everything was okay. The woman then stood up, went to the bathroom, and threw up in the sink. When she came out, she sat down and continued staring at the man. The flight attendant approached her and asked if she needed help. She replied, "No, it's just that I feel sick." The flight attendant left and the woman took out her phone and called someone. She said, "I know this sounds crazy, but I think I just saw my husband. He was sitting right here, but now he's gone." Before the flight attendant could respond, the woman hung up. The man noticed that she was crying and asked if everything was okay. She responded, "I'm sorry. I just remembered that my husband died 3 years ago." She then asked the man if he was Helen's husband, to which he replied, "Yes." She then said, "Well, I'm not your wife, but I am your wife's doppelganger." In 2008, a boy named Liam was playing with his friends in a park when he saw a group of boys his age. One of them looked exactly like him. He was wearing the same clothes as Liam and had the same hairstyle. Liam asked his mother about it later, and she told him that she had an identical twin sister who gave birth to a baby boy on the same day that Liam was born. One time a man saw a woman who looked exactly like his wife. A woman was driving down a dark road when she saw a man walking towards her. If you enjoyed this video and want to see another just like it, then check out more content. Hello everybody, it's me, and today we're going to look at some scary true stories of people who found their Let's get into it. No. 10. The hitchhiker. A man was driving home from a night out with some friends. When he decided to pull over and hitchhike, he said that he had seen a group of people walking along the side of the road and thought it would be funny to give them a lift. But as he drove past them, he noticed something strange. Her friends were concerned and convinced her to take a pregnancy test. He didn't think much of it until he realized that the man was his exact double. He tried to ignore it, but then his doppelganger stood up and started walking towards him. He slowed down and prepared to offer them a lift, but then he noticed that they were all dressed in old-fashioned clothing. "Bye." He continued driving, and soon spotted a farmhouse up ahead. Just as he approached it, he saw a woman standing on the porch. She was wearing a long white dress and a bonnet. She waved at him, in motion for him to come closer. As he got closer, he could hear her better, and she was singing a song he had never heard before. He stopped the car and got out to talk to her, but as he approached the porch, she vanished. He then noticed a swing on the porch and saw a girl who looked exactly like his sister sitting on it. The girl smiled at him and beckoned for him to come closer, but then she too disappeared. He never saw either of them again. As he got closer, the man stood up too and they stared at each other in disbelief. Then his doppelganger did something that made his blood run cold. He reached into his pocket and pulled out an axe. Before the man knew what was happening, his doppelganger swung the axe and cut off his head. The severed head rolled across the floor of the bus and landed at the feet of the other passengers. No one moved or made a sound, and after a few minutes, the bus driver finally spoke up. He asked if anyone had seen what happened, and no one answered. He then drove the bus to the nearest police station and turned it into the authorities. They never caught the doppelganger, and the case remains unsolved to this day. When the test came back positive, she was shocked because she had been using protection. At first she didn't think much of it, but as she turned to leave the room, she noticed that her doppelganger was staring back at her. She tried to convince herself that it was just a trick of the light, but then her doppelganger stepped out of the mirror and walked towards her. She screamed and tried to run away, but her doppelganger was faster and soon caught up to her. She could feel his hot breath on her neck as he whispered in her ear, I'm here to take you with me. She tried to fight him off, but he was too strong and dragged her towards the mirror. As they approached it, she could see that the reflection was gone and replaced by her doppelganger's face. He smiled at her and then the two disappeared into the mirror. She decided to tell her boyfriend, but she couldn't bring herself to do it. She ended up telling her best friend instead. Her friend convinced her to tell her boyfriend, but on the way to his house, she saw a girl who looked exactly like her. She told her friend about it, and they decided to go back home. A few days later, she told her boyfriend that she wasn't actually pregnant. He was mad at first, but eventually forgave her. However, she still sees her doppelganger from time to time, and it reminds her of the lie she told him. One of the girls in particular kept waving at him to pull over, so he did. When he opened the car door, he noticed that all 5 of the girls looked identical. They had the same blonde hair, the same blue eyes, and the same fair skin. He asked them where they were all heading, and they told him they were looking for a party. Eventually, they arrived at a house, and the girls thanked the man for the ride before running into the house. That's when he noticed a girl standing on the porch. She looked exactly like one of the girls in the car, but she was also his girlfriend. As he got out of the car to ask what was going on, the girl ran inside and turned off all of the lights. Then the other 4 girls came back outside, jumped into the car, and told him to drive away. To this day, he has no idea what happened or where those girls took him. Number 9. Train station, doppelganger. A man was waiting for his train at the station when he noticed a man sitting on a nearby bench. At first he didn't think anything of it, but as time went on, he couldn't help but notice that the man kept glancing at him. He tried to ignore it, but then the man stood up and walked towards him. As he got closer, he realized that the man was his exact double. He was even wearing the same clothes. The doppelganger sat back down and continued staring at him, and after a while, the man decided to confront him. He asked his doppelganger if he had done something wrong to him, but the man just stared back at him blankly. Soon enough, his train arrived and he got on board without another word. As the train pulled away from the station, he turned to look at the platform. His doppelganger was still sitting on the bench, and he was now staring at the floor. Doppelganger pregnancy scare. A woman was hanging out with some of her girlfriends. One night when she suddenly felt a sharp pain in her stomach. No. 7. The bus ride. A man was riding the bus home from work one day when he noticed a man sitting across from him. No. 6. The mirror. A woman was getting ready for bed one night when she caught her reflection in the mirror. The town Aman was driving through a small town when he noticed a group of people standing on the side of the road. If you like scary stories, stay tuned for more. See you next time. Hello, and welcome back to my channel. Do you believe in dope? If you're watching this video, then chances are that you have seen someone who looks exactly like you at least once in your life. Some people claim that seeing your doppelganger is a bad omen. What do you think? Let's find out more in today's video. The strange case of the woman who found her doppelganger in the woods. A man from Australia named Ben was hitchhiking along a deserted road when he saw a car approaching him. He stuck out his thumb, and the car soon pulled over. The driver rolled down his window and asked Ben where he was headed. They talked for a few minutes, and Ben learned that the driver's name was Jake. As they were talking, Ben couldn't help but notice that Jake looked exactly like him. He didn't think much of it at the time, but soon, he started to feel uneasy. Ben asked Jake to let him off at the next gas station. When they arrived at the gas station, Ben thanked Jake for the ride and started to walk away. That's when he saw the most terrifying thing. He turned around and saw Jake getting out of the car, and then he started walking towards him. Ben ran as fast as he could, but Jake was too quick for him. He soon caught up to him and grabbed him by the shoulder. Ben screamed, but no one could hear him. Then everything went black. When Ben woke up, he was lying on the ground. He looked around and saw that he was in a forest. He didn't know how he got there, but he soon realized that Jake had taken him out of the car and left him in the woods. Ben was terrified, but he knew he had to get out of there. He started to walk away from the forest and soon came across a road. He flagged down a passing car and told the driver to call the police. When the officers arrived at the scene, they searched for Jake, but they never found him. Ben was taken to the hospital for treatment, but the doctors couldn't find anything wrong with him. To this day, Ben doesn't know what happened to him. He believes that Jake kidnapped him and then released him in the woods. But why? Was it just a random act of violence, or was there something more sinister at play? A young woman from Ireland named Fiona was taking a walk in the woods when she spotted something strange. We hope you enjoyed today's video, and we'll see you next time. She saw a woman walking towards her, and it seemed as though the woman was taking her every step. She tried to ignore it, but the woman soon approached her and tapped her on the shoulder. The woman asked Fiona if they had met before, to which Fiona replied, "No, I'm sorry." The woman looked at her for a moment and then walked away without saying a word. Fiona thought it was strange, but she soon forgot about it. However, when she got home, she checked her security camera footage just to make sure that she wasn't going crazy. To her shock, she couldn't see her in the footage at all. She then remembered that she had seen the same woman at the grocery store the day before. When she checked the security footage there, she saw a woman who looked exactly like her. But how is this possible? Could Fiona have really seen her or was there another explanation for what she had seen? The mysterious case of the man who kept seeing a man from England named Tom kept seeing his doppelganger everywhere he went. He started to feel uneasy. and he began to question his sanity. He decided to visit a therapist to see if she could help him understand what was going on. During their sessions, Tom told his therapist about all the strange things he had been seeing. His therapist listened patiently and then suggested that Tom keep a journal of his experiences. Tom did as he was told, and he soon started to notice a pattern. All the doppelgangers he had seen were around the same age, and they all looked exactly like him. He also noticed that they all seemed to be in some sort of distress. Tom's therapist believed that Tom was experiencing something called deep. This is a mental phenomenon in which a person feels disconnected from reality. It can cause a person to feel like they are living in a dream, or that they are not really there. In some cases, depersonalization can also cause a person to see their Tom's therapist helped him to understand that his doppelgangers were not real, but were instead a figment of his imagination. With the help of his therapist, Tom was able to overcome his depersonalization and move on with his life. A creepy case of a hitchhiker who found his dope. Which one of these stories was the most unbelievable? Let us know in the comments below.